When we talk about poverty in America, one of the big things about it is that they lack time. They lack time to parent, they lack time to cook, they lack time to shop. And one thing we never consider is clothes. And it's a huge time suck to keep your clothes clean.
Hey, welcome to the Voices on the Wind podcast. I am Toby Lyles and my esteemed son,
Maverick Glass.
Hey, we're so happy that you're here today. The Voices on the Wind podcast is aimed at helping you catch those ideas that whisk by your head and turn them into what they are, something significant.
Yes.
We're trying to increase the level of entrepreneurship in our little small towns and our big cities. And today we have somebody who did exactly that. But before we get to her,
we have our email list or our newsletter. I always call it emails. It's a newsletter. We just share stories that, mostly he does, but then funny, really, really funny stories, but also has lots of good advice in it and just stuff we're learning from the podcast. So that's votw.substack.com. Definitely should check that one out. And today we have Courtney Shillenn, and she is great, and I really enjoyed that episode a lot. She just has she started like an amazing laundromat here. We don't have a lot of them. And so just to see how she just went for it, started something just a very community oriented, trying to help people. It's not just a business. She's starting something to help other people. And I really respect that. And it's really great. Very interesting. She has a lot of really good thoughts. And so we have then Courtney today.
I was raised by a single mother, and she ran a credit union. I spent a lot of time down there and listening to her talk about things and listening to her methodology on being a boss and listening to her methodology on the ethics of finance, because there are a lot of ethics in finance. Like, she refused to do direct lending with the dealerships because they screwed the members over so bad, sold them products way overpriced, sold them cars way overpriced. And so she just refused to, even though it was detrimental to the credit union's bottom line, to do that. So she just finally refused to do it. And so I just grew up watching her live that kind of idea that, like, if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. And if I don't want to get screwed, and if I want a business to have ethics, then I have to run a business that has ethics and that has an interest in people. And I think at the end of the day, if we all do that, we all come out better. We were going to retire. She was going to retire. And we were going to move down to South America. And I was just going to bartend or whatever and figure it out from there.
I love that plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. So that was my checking out of society plan, because I decided that was just not going to work. Normal was not going to work for me. Well, that changed because my mother is now terminal.
So were you like dead serious about this?
Oh yeah, I was dead serious about it. That's what I was doing. That was the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing all the, managing all the finances, setting up all of our retirement, figuring out all the distributions and taxes, and figuring out how to get, the income we could get out of, the money and all that. And we had it all set up and we're ready. And then COVID, and then diagnosis for stage 4 cancer. So I did 18 months of that and then she passed December of 2023. So then I did the recovery of that, figuring out now what's next. So no engineering degree, no retiring down to South America and bartending. And so then it was kind of like next step. And next step was business, because she left me her entirety of her retirement, basically.
Yeah. So you felt like it was your only choice?
Yeah, pretty much. Like the only choice that I could find contentment in, I think. She had 401ks. Mm-hmm. Then she had what's called a 457B, which government people get or nonprofits can use as a retirement vehicle. And so she had that. And then when she found out she was sick, and we found out it was probably terminal, average life expectancy is 12 months. We did some estate planning. She owned 2 homes. She rolled those into a trust along with the retirement plans. And then on her death, it would become irrevocable. It's like, okay, I have 90 days to do a rollover, 401k rollover.
Okay.
So I called Schwab and I expressed that's what I wanted to do. And they're like, yeah, whatever, that'll work. And I talked to Chase and he's like, yeah, we can do that. And so I had a check cut to the trust. Mm-hmm. So I was going to deposit it and roll it back over into a 401k. Mm-hmm. So I take the check over to over to Chase, and the investment banker calls his back office helpline. And then he's like, well, how do we get this into the investment account, into a 401k? And they're like, deposit it into the savings account under the trust, and then we'll use a memo and roll it over into a 401k.
Okay.
Which all makes logical sense of the retirement like reading that I had done.
Okay.
So anyways, so then like a week later, I find out, well, it's an inherited 401k. You don't have a 90-day rollover on an inherited 401k. And like, I was just like, okay, life just kind of totally screwed my mom. And now she's dead and you're going to take 47% of her retirement, like over my dead body. And so I was like, well, now I need a tax write-off. And how do you have a tax write-off? You start a business.
Okay. So you had 4 months from when you learned about it, having had no plan to start a business.
Pretty much, yeah.
To start a business.
Yeah.
And you couldn't just like form an LLC or whatever corp. You had to spend the money on the right things so that you'd get income, because obviously this is what we need to do.
Yep.
And so you could get the tax write-off.
I had 2 dogs and my mom adored the dogs. Like the dogs were in the estate planning, right? They had money and like there were contingencies made. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were older, about 10 at the time. And I had been leaving them at a friend's house to watch because I had gotten a job when my mom got diagnosed because I needed some time out of the house, working part-time for a friend. And so I was taking the dogs over there to get babysat because they were used to having my mom home and me home. And they were old. So that transition wasn't going to go well. Well, my male got out of the house. They caught him, picked him up, and he fell out of his arms and hit his head. And I ended up at CSU in ICU with him, and he passed like a month after my mom died. Wow. Yeah. So, and then I had my little female left, and she was not handling all the transitioning. I'd moved houses on her because we moved over to the unfinished house because I was going to rent. I had a lot better chance at renting the other one faster. She now didn't have another dog in the house. My mom was gone. And so that stress really hit her. And so I ended up getting a puppy.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to deal with health issues, right? I wanted to buy myself at least some time there. And so I ended up getting a puppy. And he decided that a Shih Tzu, who's Spencer, who's now the store mascot.
Very cute.
And he ended up forgetting that he was potty trained or revenge peeing. I don't know what he decided, but I'd like get ready to go to bed and leave him in there for 5 minutes when I went to the bathroom and come back out and he'd pee on bed.
Oh, man.
And so, like, I think I did that like 4 or 5 times. So I'd been like going to laundromats for like the last 6 months with this puppy because I had to wash all my linens and realized how awful it was. And laundromats had kind of been blowing up on like social media, right? As like a fast cash situation, which I knew was not true. Sure. Like civil engineering, as the person who'd been like the major mechanical person at home since I was like 16, like I knew that many moving parts and equipment in a building did not mean passive income. That was not ever happening. So that had kind of been percolating as an option in the back of my mind, but kind of like, I would like, a year of rest before I attempt something stressful. And then the swap thing happened and that year of rest was gone. So laundromat came to the fore fairly quickly, but I was thinking something smaller, like a little pocket downtown or something like that. Because I only had $300,000 in liquidity, which is not a ton when you're talking about, industrial equipment and build outs and rent all of that. And so got in contact with a distributor, which I wanted Speed Queens because one, they have consumer recognizability because they sell the high-end home machines. And the other place that had been retooled in town has Dexter's. So then it's a counterpoint there. And I knew that from the surfing and the Facebook groups and stuff, that it was it's kind of like the Cadillac of equipment.
So you did your research.
And I found out during that time that I was eligible for financing of the equipment through Speed Queen themselves.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Which is how I could do such a large space and so much equipment.
Yeah.
So, so I knew that I had that part in hand. I did all of my own market analysis. So looking at, Cheyenne's distribution and like how much
capacity. Had you done that before?
Capacity.
Did you get help from that?
No, I was mostly just read some papers.
Really?
Figure it out. I mean,
so you're just digging around going, how to do market analysis.
Well, yeah. Well, I joined the Queen Laundry Association and they'd done research papers that kind of looked at market demographics and like who was using it, how often they were using it, how much they were spending, how far away, that kind of thing. And so I just took their formulas that they'd found worked and applied them to Cheyenne's, population samples that I could pull. So that wasn't too hard. And so, but I felt like I had enough liquidity. I'd run the numbers. I had, I figured I could float the cost that I had and my personal costs for about 12 months.
Okay.
Worst case scenario. So I thought I was good.
Yeah.
And so signed the lease, got the general contractor in there, and then the problems with the permit started. Yeah. Because they're really good at doing the things that they're used to doing, right? So homes and like basic businesses and restaurant setups and like that kind of stuff. They get all of that.
Okay.
But a laundromat's a very different beast.
Which I hear that, but it
also
is
not, right?
But it's a laundromat.
Yeah.
We're not starting some sort of, I don't know, something
cryogenic
crazy.
operation or something, right? Like it's not like new high-tech tech, right? Like it's pretty basic. It's some drains, some water, some gas.
We've been doing
some
these for decades.
Yeah. And so, but then the fight started. And it very quickly became evident to me that my general contractor really didn't know what he was doing. Because he told me it was a 3-month build out.
Sure.
And I figured 5.
Sure.
Because you never trust them on timelines.
So you weren't feeling like people were understanding at all what you were installing.
Right.
So
or how to even get to what we needed to have.
You're trying to say I'm installing this, a commercial washer, and they're talking about sinks or just something.
Yeah, they're using like fixture units to try and to calculate whether I was going to meet the demand for these machines or whether my drain was going to work. And it's like you can't do that on these. Yeah. It's not how these work.
You're bleeding money at this point.
Oh yeah,
$5,000 a month.
Yeah,
all this equipment, and then you're probably just incredibly busy. Besides the build, but harassing the local utility, harassing the not harassing,
but trying to figure it out.
Communicating with.
Yeah, well, and trying to pick a point of sales system. Trying to figuring out. I'd hired a marketing company, trying to figure out how to do all of that, like getting businesses registered, trying to figure out hiring, and I was still playing with taxes and had to take another distribution from my mom's
because you're
457B because that $300,000 goes real fast. And so maybe BOPU really is just they weren't going to let me open unless I put in a new supply line because they wanted the tap fee.
Okay, and so that means that they are going to charge you to build a pipe.
Right.
To dig a big pipe in the ground.
To go to a 2-inch supply line.
To their main
to my
supply.
Unit. Right. And the $30,000 is basically infrastructure improvement fees. Because you're going to use more water. So really this whole infrastructure is going to take more wear and tear. And like you have to pay a fee to like maintain it. Which, on paper and in theory makes sense. But like when you're a small business and when you know that's not going to happen, doesn't make sense. Right. So.
And you were smart enough to know. Like your engineering background.
Yeah.
You didn't just roll over and say like, well, okay, fine.
So for tax write-offs, I couldn't write off any of my expenses till it was in use. So I had to be
something
open.
Had to be used before December 31.
Right. For me to be able to write off any of that. Otherwise,
we got to be like the second week in December, third week. Where we're basically
there. This is where I tell everybody I have Schrodinger vents. Schrodinger cat. The cat is both dead and alive until you look in the box. So I have Schrodinger vents. So they made the argument that my vents were mechanical because my dryers were pulling air. Even though they weren't pulling air and doing anything with it.
I suppose that's an active pull.
Well, yeah,
right?
but gas burning appliance is not an active pull. The only reason you have recovery air is if you have gas burning. Why else would you have gas burning if it's not for an active pull?
We're talking about the vent. We're not talking about the dryers.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with what's using the air. It has everything to do with the actual vents itself. They do not meet mechanical requirements. But if they're mechanical vents, the amount of opening I have to have is lower because more air is moving through it because it's mechanical, right?
Okay.
That's how the code works. So I was like, fine. I told him, fine. Then if they're mechanical vents, then I don't need that hole and we'll just close it.
Oh, okay.
Except, no, wait. But they're not mechanical vents when you're calculating the amount of recovery air I need. They're only mechanical vents when you're calculating how far away from the meter they need to be. I'm like, they cannot be both at the same time. Like, they cannot. They are one or the other.
That's the Schrodinger.
Right, that's the Schrodinger. They cannot be both mechanical and not mechanical depending on which part of the code you're looking at.
Way
to
bring some quantum physics into our...
just like, my God. So anyways, we duked it out. And I think that, I don't remember where it happened, but I ended up calling the mayor's office. I think it was maybe around this time. Because also we were having a fight about my bulkheads. being on GFCIs. And I'm like, you cannot put machines that pull this much power on GFCIs. They'll pop it every time they start. And the IPC code means that the bulkheads themselves with the appliance panels in them, and appliance panels don't have neutrals. They don't have returns. Return electricity runs on them. So they're two hot lines.
Yeah.
And you can't even put those on GFCIs.
No.
And like, I don't know why I'm having this fight. And this is the third time I've had this fight about these panels. So they saw the panels when I submitted my permit.
Yeah.
They saw the drawings for them. They got approved. They got approved in the preliminary electrical inspection. We had the same conversation. And then I'm going for final occupancy permit and having this conversation again. And they're like, they need to be GFCI'd and all of this stuff. And I'm like, no, they don't. They're IPC rated. Like, they're like another appliance. They're like, well, where in the code is that? And I'm like, why am I have to tell the people who are supposed to only be working with the code where to find stuff in the code? Every time they came, they did specs, we'd have fixed one problem and they'd find a new expensive problem. It was just one thing after another. It was something new every time they showed up. We'd fix the thing that they had problems with. They'd show up and find a new thing. Like, it was just never ending.
You couldn't just be like, all of them must be done.
Right. I was like, can I just get a list, a single list that you will stop changing? So I was fed up. I called the mayor's office. Spoke to his executive secretary. She didn't even go to him. Like, she already knew what to do. And she's like, well, what do you need? And I said, I need a list that's not going to change, that I need to fulfill to be open, right? And it's not like I'm trying to skirt safety. It's not like I'm trying to open an unsafe business. It's not like I'm trying to get out of regulations or anything. I just need them to be consistent and reasonable.
Yeah.
And I need them to know that, like, the letter of the law and the intent are two different things. I'm not sure that a 1/4 inch on a handicap bar really matters. Like, it's not really going to affect whether a handicapped person can use the toilet or not.
Right.
And I was getting calls from little old ladies who'd fallen down their stairs doing laundry and broken their hip, and now they couldn't do it. And could I help them? And I'm like, no, sorry, I can't. I'm not open and I'm not legal and I can't. Like, and it was really frustrating. And it was so much the opposite of what America's supposed to be about and what Wyoming's supposed to be about, right? Yeah. And so finally the list got done. We got the list done. And I got open. And then it was, then I discovered that my pump was installed incorrectly. It couldn't hold pressure in my system. I was getting black flecks. It was overheating so much that it was steaming. Like, it was definitely bad. It's an agricultural pump.
Okay.
So its ideal, like, running would be running at, like, the RPMs it would need to be running at. Like, so pumps have, like, a efficiency curve. So, like, it runs at too low of an RPM and it's really inefficient. And it runs at too high of an RPM and it's really inefficient and overheats, both sides of those. And so there's, like, this part of the curve you want to hit for everything to work right.
Just like the RPMs on your vehicle.
On your vehicle, exactly. And so this pump could not do that in my mat. Like, my water demand wasn't constant. There was no flow. It was this pump was designed to run like sprinklers out in a field. And so this pump isn't designed for this. And now it's also been running on a system without the expansion tank it needed. So it's been over revving and overheating and slamming a ton of pressure into all of my machines. And so they come in and they take the packing out. We have to overnight packing because I'm already open. I've been open 6 days.
Okay.
And I've been manually running the pump.
What day did you open?
April 1st.
April 1st.
Yes.
The next year.
Yeah. And so I'd been manually going back and turning the pump on when people came in because I hadn't done any advertising. I was just going to open my doors and see how, like, my equipment went, finish some of my projects, which I'm still constantly in the stage of finishing projects. And so I find out that, so I need an expansion tank and I need packing to see if the pump's toast or not. So I get all of that done and So now I'm up and I'm running and we're through Frontier days.
Good.
I'm doing about 2.5 turns a day. In the laundromat industry, 3 turns is kind of the bottom of the barrel. That's where you break even is figured. So I've got some growing to do still before I'm comfortable.
Can you just define turns?
So turns, so usually it's every machine in the store goes around once through one, like, cycle. I have 24 washers in the store. So a turn would be 24 cycles, one on every machine. And I just figured that every 24 cycles is a single turn. I don't really break my turns out into, like, size or anything.
Okay.
And so if they each ran on average 3 times a day, that's kind of my break even to cover my business costs and just mostly my big business costs, like my loan and my rent, my utilities. And so I'm doing about 2.5 right now.
Okay.
But it's also an awkward time because summer traveling's slowing down, school's starting, routines are getting put in. I haven't done any marketing yet. So that's kind of where we're focused right now is bringing in more regular local customers, getting the word out, and kind of rounding out what we're offering to our self-serve customers. So we've got a little self-serve bar that we set out on a shelf. So it's got Tide and usually some type of free clear that's not Tide, because apparently a lot of people are allergic to Tide. That was something new I learned.
Yeah.
And then I've got an OxyClean enzyme-based one you can buy in dryer sheets and Clorox. And then I've got a free coffee bar in the back.
Nice.
We offer tea. I was offering hot chocolate, but apparently that's really hard to find in Keurig pods for a reasonable amount of money.
Okay.
So right now we've just got tea and coffee. And then I've got a kids area that's been under construction since I started.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping to get that finished up in the next couple of weeks. So we're just trying to finish out kind of the self-serve customer amenities and how comfortable that is. And then once that's done and my books are looking a little better on my self-serve side, we're hoping to start up a subscription-based service. We want to start doing like theme nights and that kind of thing, so that it's even less of a wasted piece of their time, that you get some socializing in, that people, a lot of times we get older people who are living on their own in apartments are coming in and they're not getting a lot of social interacting because they're not working anymore. And it's something that they have to come do, right? And so then that's an opportunity to make that a useful time for them, because a lot of times they're socially isolated. And so if we can make that something that kind of fills in some of those gaps that society has left, then all the better. Because it feels like such a waste of time to spend 3 hours waiting on your laundry. But I'm hoping that if I can get my wash and fold up and running, that I can keep my self-serve side as close to break even without really, and when I say break even, I mean like mostly just covering its own costs. But I also wanted to offer, from watching my friend with her 4 kids, all doing a variety of sports and getting run hither and yon and everywhere, a subscription laundry service that is feasible for normal working families to use at a price point that's reasonable. And then that'll include pickup and delivery. And then one thing I had with an employee I unfortunately had to fire is that she was looking at a 501c3 and offering that service to low-income families. Because a lot of times when we talk about poverty in America, one of the big things about it is that they lack time. They lack time to parent. They lack time to cook. They lack time to shop. And one thing we never consider is clothes. And it's a huge time suck to keep your clothes clean. So I'll probably start looking back into that once I get that subscription up and running, to see if I can't tack on
nonprofit.
Yeah, a nonprofit one there. And then you've also got a delivery mechanism for other services that people would qualify for.
Oh, true, yeah.
So that's also something I'm still interested in doing. It's just going to take a little bit longer. I have to have, a functional business.
Yep.
First.
So step one, try to make what's happening break even. That sustains, and then you're going to do a drop and fold. I think you called it.
We're doing wash and fold now.
Wash and fold.
Yeah. But we'll do a subscription.
A subscription
pick
to the
up
wash
and
and
delivery,
fold, which is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I can see that being really valuable.
Well, I always thought if I'm going to pay for anything, I'd rather buy my time back.
Yeah.
And you just put it in a bag and put it out on your porch. We come pick it up and deliver it a couple days later, back on your porch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have anything like that. That's not really an option in town. So we're hoping that we'll get up and running here in the next couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're getting them up now. Part of the self-serve, finish the trimmings out there, is we'll have a pay it forward board. So you can buy a wash and a dry for somebody, and we'll tack cards up so that people who need to can come in and wash clothes and stuff.
I love that I love that you see our community, and you're looking at ways to help multiple economic sectors of folks.
Yeah, and I think that if everybody could take that approach, we'd be better off.
Mm-hmm.
Locally, statewide, globally, nationally, if we all kind of took that. Because it's really, it makes the business a little bit harder, right? Because I could probably charge more, and I could start charging, upcharges for all the different stuff, right? Yeah. On the washers. So you can't be completely bottom line driven. But I think that you can be economically successful and still take into consideration your impact on everybody else.
Thank you, Courtney, for that. For those who listened, I hope you enjoyed the episode with Courtney Shillenn. I appreciated quite a few things about Courtney, but I think what's very interesting to me is how she's building something that is not aiming to overly monetize a underrepresented segment of the population or a lower class. She's actually trying to use a laundromat to help those who are disadvantaged economically. Who have had the short end of the stick handed to them, and instead of just trying to suck more money out of them, she's actually trying to help them get out of where they're at just by a laundromat. There's something just beautiful about a laundromat being one thing that can help you out. And I don't know, there's so many places where we just have these little gifts in life that help us move to the next stage, but we need something to grab onto. And she's building that. So I appreciate that, Courtney. Thanks so much for the time. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast, I really appreciate you. Let's all go out and build something great. Until then, happy sailing.